Tonight in 7 News, Melbourne Cup history at an empty Flemington. A Victorian jockey claims the big race in his first Cup ride.
What a ride, what a win, in a Cup we'll never forget.
The track lockout forces the city to find new ways to celebrate.
Is 9 News with Peter Hitchner.
Good evening. Lloyd Williams has done it again, collecting a 7th Melbourne Cup after a masterful run from Twilight Payment. Ridden by Cup debutant Jai McNeil, the outsider went straight to the front and never looked back in a race tinged with sadness. Clint Stanaway begins our coverage.
The pandemic might have put a stop to crowds, but not the race that stops a nation. Bathed in sunshine, this was Flemington at its spring best. The Diva, a 3-time Cup winner, serving up a hint of nostalgia.
This is the moment.
Before the current crop of hopefuls burst from the gates.
Gates crash and they're racing in the Melbourne Cup. A pretty good line away too. Ashrun immediately snicks back to the end with Sir Dragonet.
Tactically, it was absolute perfection. In a year like no other, this was a win like no other.
Twilight Payment tries to break their hearts. Tiger Moth wearing him down with the chosen one. It's Twilight Payment. Tiger Moth still trying to get there. Twilight Payment. What a ride. What a win. In a Cup we'll never forget.
A surreal feeling for jockey and new dad Jai McNeil in this, his first ever Melbourne Cup.
Can you put into words how this feels?
Oh yeah, there's too many emotions. But, it's a very big moment. Jess and the boy Oakley will be watching from home today, and unfortunately they couldn't be here, but I'm sure them, along with a lot of people, will be very proud.
He was right about that.
I broke down in tears. Poor Oaks probably got concussion because I was jumping up and down so much, but it's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Partner Jess, herself a jockey.
He left the house like he would any other race meeting, and he was so calm and so collected. We had bacon and eggs for brekkie, so the breakfast of champions, which is great.
From the debutante to the dominator, owner Lloyd Williams celebrating his 7th Cup win. Like most of us, he watched the race unfold at home, as did Irish trainer Joseph O'Brien.
We would love to have been there, but, incredibly special. Jai gave the horse an incredible ride, and, all credit has to go to Lloyd and Nick Williams.
Sadly, the Cup wash-up was wildly contrasting for the O'Briens, as word trickled through that Aidan O'Brien's pre-race fancy, Anthony Van Dyke, had to be put down. The normally rowdy mounting yard celebrations replaced with a much more sedate presentation for jockey and travelling foreman, while for Twilight Payment, it was time to cool off after a job well done. Clint Stanaway, 9 News.
And let's head to Tony Jones now. Tony, it's been an eventful day indeed.
Well, it certainly has, Pete. Good evening to you. And as you said earlier, for Lloyd Williams, I'm not going to say the Cup's king, but Cummings still very much the holder of that particular tag, if you like. But Lloyd Williams, a 7th Melbourne Cup is quite extraordinary. But he's got a few cohorts, I've got to say, in the ownership group here, not least music guru Michael Gudinski. This is his 3rd Melbourne Cup. He's had another 2 with Lloyd, but also the Caravan King in Jerry Ryan. This is his 2nd Melbourne Cup, coming off the back of Americane back in 2010. So they've got a few between them, there's no doubt about that. Lloyd Williams prefers to keep a low profile these days, allowing his son Nick to do most of the partying. Stephanie Anderson is at the Prince of Wales Hotel in St Kilda. Steph, you've got them all there. The party's getting underway for Team Williams. I suspect there wouldn't be too many counting whose shout it is next.
I don't think so, Tony, no. In fact, as you say, the celebrations are only just beginning, and just a short time ago, the centrepiece of the party arrived here, personally delivered by VRC Chairman Amanda Elliott. Like everything else this year, it was an extraordinary sight, really. She just popped up the stairs carrying that cup and presented it to the connections of Twilight Payment here, and as you can see in these pictures, the celebrations followed. Now, they are more subdued than we would normally obviously see, but they're certainly making the most of this private space here at the Prince of Wales. As you say, some of the connections are very well-known faces. Michael Gudinski and Jerry Ryan are among those joining the party, and I spoke to them and Nick Williams a little earlier. Here's what they had to say.
I'm speechless, to be honest. It's a very hard race to win. We put a lot of effort in to try and do it, and most of the time you don't win, and when it does come off, it's it's just unbelievably satisfying.
I always say that a footy team that wants a premiership, they stay together, and this syndicate we keep on going on, and we've got so many fantastic stories.
For a jockey to run his first race in the Melbourne Cup and win, good on him.
Now, there's certainly no shortage of the good stuff flowing here tonight. They tell me the party is going to be going for some hours yet. I believe they have this space booked for many, many hours to come, Tony.
I'd say many days, to be honest, Steph, but thanks very much for that. Well, despite no crowds at Flemington for the first time in 160 years, our city couldn't be stopped from celebrating one of the best days of the year. As Eliza Rugg explains, punters made the most of green spaces surrounding the track.
They couldn't get into Flemington, but it was still a public holiday to celebrate.
I can't complain. I mean, it's better than work.
Melbourne Cup crowds swarmed parks across the city and directly opposite the action.
Yeah, it's not bad. I can see about half of the track.
Things are looking pretty good to get into the beers, as Dan would say.
Footscray Park on the banks of the Maribyrnong River was pumping.
It's a great day. There's no crowds, so we can see the course from here, so why wouldn't you?
We're members, so we're normally at the track for the day.
I bought me camping chair and everything, so yeah.
With temperatures soaring, some racing fans took to the water. While inside the racecourse, it was a ghost town. There should have been 100,000 people packed onto the lawns.
We tried absolutely everything to at least get some people here.
Instead, there were just 200, mainly VRC staff, to make sure the event ran smoothly and COVID safe. The famous birdcage was replaced by shipping containers. There were no carloads of family, friends and full eskies in the nursery. The betting ring was deserted, while the main lawn looked magnificent and untouched, thanks to the keeper of the Roses, Mick Ryan. After 30 years in the second top job, this was his chance to shine.
This is my first year in charge and first year of COVID.
Those flowers to be delivered to frontline workers.
Just a nice gesture to say thank you for their hard work.
Fashions on the field became fashions on your front lawn. Melburnians relishing the chance to finally frock up.
Be creative, make your own piece. Big, wild and just let your imagination go.
Some traditions could only be seen at home on TV. Australia. While Makybe Diva looked as glamorous as ever, parading in the mounting yard just next to the scene of her 3 unforgettable wins.
She started to just lift when you can see her walk out through the tunnel. Yeah, she's still got a bit of that racehorse in her.
Just a couple of minutes before the running of the Cup, and this is the atmosphere up in the grandstand. Eerie, empty on a day where these seats, every single one of them, should be filled with punters trying to back a winner. In the end, it was those backing Twilight Payment jumping for joy.
What a ride, what a win, in a Cup we'll never forget.
As the party continued outside the track.
Cheers.
Eliza Rugg, 9 News.
Well, unfortunately, there's been a very sad postscript to the Cup, with top fancy Anthony Van Dyke having to be put down after sustaining an injury on the home straight.
Racing Victoria has put out a statement confirming the horse suffered a fractured fetlock, offering its condolences to all connections of the horse, including, of course, Aidan O'Brien, the trainer. Now, he's been through this before in 2018. His horse, Clifford Mohere, was also put down after racing in the Melbourne Cup and suffering an injury. And
from Flemington. Well, that just about wraps it up from Flemington for the moment. But yes, it has been a very different day, I've got to say. In previous years, there's been a booze bus or two on Footscray Road. We've had party boats going down the Maribyrnong, queues of taxis and Ubers, and of course the streams of people leaving the course. The big difference there is they are walking today from the park in a straight line, and that's something we haven't seen. Pete, back to you.
Okay, thank you.